Hello everyone, myself Sowmya, Assistant Professor in CSE AIML Department, MLR Institute of Technology. So in this video, we are going to discuss about AngularJS directives. So in the previous programs or in the previous videos, we have seen the directives, but we don't know like what exactly a directive means and what are the different directives we have in AngularJS. So that we are going to discuss in this video. So in this video, we are mainly focusing on basics of directives, what are the things are there, terminologies are there, and we will also see some built-in directives like ng-app, ng-bind, ng-model, ng-init, ng-repeat, and we have so many other built-in directives also, and we will also see some example applications. So coming to the basics of directives, so what is meant by directive? So AngularJS let you extend some HTML with new attributes called directives. So we know for every tag we are using some predefined attributes. For example, if you consider input, I'm just writing input type is equal to text. But coming to the AngularJS, for this the same tag, I am adding a new attribute called ng-model, which is called as a directive and which has some purpose, internal purpose. So here we have some built-in directives. In the previous videos, we have seen how to create our own directives, but in this video, we are mainly focusing on the predefined directives. We know how to create a directive, a user-defined directive. Using directive function, we can create our own directive. So that we have seen in the previous videos. So these are all some predefined directives, built-in directives. So all the directives will start with a term called ng, which stands for next generation. So here I'm just focusing only on some predefined directives here which are mainly used in most of the programs. So the first one is ng-app, which indicates the initialization of your AngularJS application. Wherever you write ng-app, that indicates the starting point of your AngularJS application. For example, if I write div ng-app, what it indicates, it is the starting point of your AngularJS application. This is the owner, div tag is the owner of your AngularJS application. The same way, I can write with body ng-app is equal to so and so thing, right? So your body, the complete body is the owner of your AngularJS application. So ng-app, wherever you write ng-app, so that indicates the starting point of your AngularJS application. And coming to the ng-bind. So ng-bind directive binds the AngularJS application data to HTML tags. So I want to use this AngularJS data within the HTML tags, then you can use this ng-bind. ng-bind we have seen in the starting videos of AngularJS. And coming to the ng-model. So ng-model is also used to bind the HTML data with the AngularJS. So if you want to give any model name for your tags, so for your HTML tags like input tag, whatever it may be for p tag, if you want to give some names, model names, then you can give this ng-model, and later on you can use this ng-model name and you can bind this data with the AngularJS. So next is ng-init. The name itself, it is telling it is for initialization. So if you have any initialization data, like if you want to give any initial data or variables, then you can use this ng-init attribute, ng-init directive. And next is ng-repeat. We also seen this ng-repeat in so many programs. This is used for iteration, repetition. If you want to repeat anything, any HTML element, then you can use this ng-repeat. So coming to the data binding. So how are you going to bind the data in AngularJS? So we know this is a div tag. I'm just making a division for my AngularJS application. So ng-app is equal to empty I am giving. So I can give empty also if you have any modules and containers, then in that case, I need to give the ng-app name. But otherwise, you can give it as empty also. So here I am using one more a new directive called ng-init. So ng-init is used for initializing the data. So ng-init is equal to double quotes. Within double quotes, I am taking a variable called first name. First name is equal to John. So John will be in single quotes. You can also give in double quotes. And then after that, you're closing this ng-init, right? So here you are defining, you are initializing a variable first name, and this name value you're giving as John. Initially, the first name variable value is John. So now what I'm doing here, I'm just creating a text field. For the text field, I'm giving a model name. So ng-model name is equal to first name. So what is the first name actually? John. The same thing will be displayed as an initial value in this text field. That means a text field will be created and in this what is the value? Initial value, it is John. And in the next paragraph, what I am writing, you wrote, see here I am binding the data. So whenever you are writing the symbol, what you are going to do, you are binding the data. I mean, you are printing something in the AngularJS, but here what I am using? I am using the ng model name. So from the HTML, I want to get some data and I want to print this in the AngularJS. So first name is the ng model name, right? So what is first name? Actually, it is John. The same thing will be displayed in the web page, right? So this is used for binding. So this is the expression, right? This what is this expression called? This expression is called data binding expression. So you'll see the same example here as a program. So we know this is mandatory for all AngularJS applications, right? And here div tag ng app is nothing here. Why? Because I don't have any modules in this program. And coming to ng init. So you can observe here previously why we are writing modules actually for simple programs also for initialization only. To initialize unknown variables, we are using that modules. But here I am using ng init here itself. To initialize the variables, I am using ng init. So directly you can initialize the variables here itself. So ng init, I am just taking a variable called first name. So first name will be assigned with this value. So now I have three paragraphs here. So in the three paragraphs, the first paragraph will print input something in the input box. So they are going to give some input box, you need to give some input over there. So after that, one text field you are creating. So what is the ng model name? So the same variable name you are using here, first name. The same variable name, that means for the variable already you have given input. What is that input? Sowmya. So within that text field, initially what it will show? Sowmya. And the same thing will be displayed here. Why? Because you are binding. The data binding will be done here. And what you are displaying here, the same ng model you are displaying. So whatever you are writing, whatever is there in the text field, the same thing will be displayed. If I cut this and if I write something, the same thing will be displayed here also, right? The same thing will be binded here also. So that's all. This is the output here. The first line as it is, whatever you are giving, followed by one text field. In the text field, initially it will display the Sowmya. Why? Because you have initialized this value already. The same thing will be displayed here. I can modify this value. Whenever you modify this value, the same value will be displayed and reflected here also. See the output for this. So initially I am getting Sowmya. Whenever I open this page, automatically I am getting. Why? Because the first name already you have initialized using ng init. So now if I modify this to any other names, the same thing will be reflected here. So we know this is mandatory for all AngularJS applications. Then I am making a division for my AngularJS application. So ng app I am giving empty. Why? Because I am not using any modules here. So instead of modules, I am using ng init to initialize the values. So ng inits, double quotes. So if you observe here, I have two variables. One is quantity, colon, price, semicolon. So if you have multiple variables, you need to differentiate them using semicolon. So quantity is 1 and price is equal to 5. After completing the initialization of all the variables, then you need to close this double quotes. So this is nothing but ng init. So now I am just putting a heading here, cost calculator. So I have two text fields here which are actually number fields, right? So I am going to create two number fields here. So one is for quantity and the other one is for price. So initially the quantity I have given as 1 and the price I have given as 5. So these are the initial values. By default it will display in the page. And now in the third paragraph I am just doing the binding, right? So what is this bind will do? It will use the ng model names. What are the ng model names? One is quantity and the other one is price. So total, how I can calculate the total? By multiplying quantity and price. So what I am doing here, quantity into price. So that will be displayed as a third value. So what is quantity? 1 into 5. So I will get the 5 as output. Initially this is the output. You can modify the quantity and price. Later on you will get the different outputs according to the values. So see the output for this. So this is the output I am getting. Quantity by default I am getting 1. The price also 5 and the total in dollar is 5. So if I modify this value 2 into 5, that is 10, and if I modify this price 2 into 10, that is 20. So in the ng init, you can also initialize multiple values. If you have multiple values, you need to separate them using semicolon. So next is repeating HTML elements. So for that purpose, you are using a directive called ng repeat. So this we used in so many programs in the previous videos. So here this is mandatory for all AngularJS application. In the division ng app, I'm not giving any module name here. Why? Because I don't have any modules in this program. And coming to ng init, I'm initializing an array. So what is the array name? The name of the array is names. So this is the array symbol. In this array, we have 3 string values. So Johnny, Hedge and Kai. Now here I am just creating an unordered list. So why? Because I want to display all these 3 items, list items using unordered list. So li, list item, how I can add the list item to the unordered list using li. So li space, I want to repeat this. For repetition, what is the directive we are using? Ng repeat. So ng repeat, I am taking a loop variable as x. X in, what is the array name? The array name is names. So in array we have 3 items. So this ng repeat will be repeated or iterated for 3 times. So first time x value will be Johnny, and the second iteration this is the second value, and third iteration this is the Kai. So like that will be worked. Ng repeat will work. So whenever, like for every iteration, whatever the x value is there, that you are printing. So how to print in AngularJS? Within double curl braces. That's all. You're closing this unordered list, you're closing this division, you're closing the body and HTML also. So this is the output I will get. The 3 items using unordered list, it will be displayed. Try to execute this. So this is the output I am getting. So we also have some other directives along with this ng repeat, ng model, ng bind. So ng if and ng show or ng hide. So if you want to create any condition, if the condition is true, then only if you want to execute something, if you want to print something, there you can use ng if. And ng show or ng hide. If you really want to show something or hide something, some elements, then you can use this attributes. So ng click, this is like a on click. If you want to call a function, whenever you click on some button, then you can use this attribute. So button ng click is equal to so and so function, the button name. Whenever the user clicks on that, the corresponding function will be called. And ng disabled. So if you want to disable some elements initially, then you can use this ng disable. So ng class and ng style, these 2 attributes mainly used for styling, a CSS purpose. So we'll see one example for ng click. So for everything we can discuss the examples, right? So but these are additional directives. So generally we don't use these directives much, but we will see one example for ng click. So we know this is mandatory for all AngularJS applications. The complete body I am making as AngularJS, right? Here I am writing 2 attributes, ng app and ng controller. Why? Because I'm going to write some modules and controllers in this program. So here I'm just creating one heading I will get, and followed by I have a button here. I'm just creating a button. So what is the button name? Click me. So here I'm using a directive called ng click. This is just like your on click in the JavaScript. So ng click is equal to, we have a function called say hello. So say hello function will be called whenever the user clicks on click me button. So now I need to define that function. So what I'm printing within the paragraph, I'm just printing a variable called greeting. So I don't know what is this greeting. So we will see what's this value and how it will modify. So within the script tag, I'm creating a module using angular.module. So which will take 2 parameters. The first parameter is same as your ng app name, and the second parameter is empty array. So this value, this module function will return an address that I'm storing in a variable called app. So for this app, I'm applying the controller. So using controller function, which will take 2 parameters again. The first one is the name of the controller. The second one function with 1 parameter, that is $scope. So here in this division, in that AngularJS, I have an unknown variable. What is that? Greeting. So that I want to initialize here. How I can access that? $scope.greeting. Initially it is empty. So how I can access this greeting? Using $scope. $scope.greeting. Initially it is empty. So now we have a function. We called one function whenever we click on this click me button. What is that function name? Say hello. So how I can access that function name also? Using the same attribute, same parameter, that is $scope dot say hello. For this I want to write a function. What this function is doing? $scope dot greeting. Already we have some value for this empty value that I am modifying to hello AngularJS. So whenever the button is clicked, this function will be called and this button will change the empty text to hello AngularJS. So that's all. You're closing this controller and you're closing this script, body and HTML. So this is the output for this. One heading I will get followed by one button. Whenever I click on this button, then I will get this. Otherwise, I don't get this message. So try to execute this. So this is the output. If I click on it, I am getting hello AngularJS. So initially I don't get anything. Why? Because greeting is empty initially. But whenever you click on this click me button, the function will be called and the function will modify the greeting value to hello AngularJS. So that is about directives. So here in this video we have seen basics of directives. We have also seen some built-in directives like ng-app, ng-bind, ng-model, ng-repeat. Right, we also see some other directives also like ng-if, ng-disable, right, ng-click and so on using some example applications. Thank you.